Okay, first step. For this project, we're not writing our name in the clay, on the surface of the clay. We're actually writing it on this paper bowl. So, first step, I'm gonna write my name with my last name, and I'm gonna write my teacher's name. Or if you know their room number at school, you can write their room number too. That works. All right, next step. We're also using, I forgot to include, plastic wrap. Now, the next step is we have to put down a layer of plastic wrap on the bowl, big enough to cover the entire top surface of the bowl. All right, so for me, let's see what that looks like. That's about that big. I'm going to place it down in the inside of the bowl and making sure that it covers the surface completely, that no part of the bowl is sticking out from the plastic wrap. Sometimes it's helpful to use some tape to stick it onto the bottom of the bowl if you want, just so it doesn't go anywhere, but you don't have to do that. But you definitely want it to be lying flat into the bowl, all right? All right, so to make the river rock bowl, what we're gonna be doing is rolling little individual pebbles from your big hunk of clay, which means pulling off a hunk of clay from, it's about this size. I'd say this is like the size of a cherry. See that? Rolling it in our hands, and then you're going to be placing it in the bowl. You want to pull off and roll the clay and place it in the bowl one at a time. You don't want to pull off a whole bunch of pebbles and roll them and then leave them sitting on the table until you're ready to place. What you want to do is pull it off the clay, roll it, place it in the bowl. Because if you want to roll all the pebbles first and then place it in the bowl, they might get really dry and hard to work with. So this way, we're going to go one pebble at a time. Roll it, place it. So we're going to start from the center bottom of the bowl and work our way in a circle around until the entire base of the bowl is full of pebbles. Now, you don't have to squish them or smush them or do anything to them at this point. You just place them in there. Okay? That's all you want to do. And you want to place them close enough to one another so that their little shoulders are touching one another, right? Every little pebble is close enough to its neighbor so that you don't see much of the plate underneath. All right? If you do see a little bit of the plate, don't worry about it. It'll get covered up in one of the next steps. All right, so I'm gonna keep rolling my pebbles. This takes a little bit of time, so I'm gonna speed it up for us, okay? As you're putting your pebbles into the bowl, I mentioned, just placing them in. Don't put too much pressure on the pebbles because smushing them down really hard is going to lose the effect of the individual river rocks on the outside of your bowl. So if you squish them down, you'll lose that effect and it'll just be sort of a flat surface of clay. So go light on the pressure. Don't even put pressure on at this point. Just place. Take a bit in your hand, roll, and place in a circle, going from the middle out. Okay, this is where we're at. I filled the base of my bowl with my pebbles. It's just a flat surface it's at the bottom of the bowl. And now I'm going to start going around in a circle with my pebbles still and going up the sides, up the walls of the bowl. That makes it different, it makes it not a plate if it has walls, right? So these particular plates that you got with your project have a small lip on the side. I'm going to show you what that looks like from the side. Gently. Don't do this at home. If you look at it here, there's like goes up straight on the side, and then there's an overhanging lip. All right, we're not going to put pebbles on that overhanging lip. We just want our bowls to have a straight side, and no lip. All right, see what that looks like there? That's just the straight side of a pebble bowl. We don't want it to curve over like this, all right? So that means we're not gonna put any pebbles up here. We're gonna go up the wall straight, and then we're gonna stop, all right? Okay, this is where we're at. So I've got a flat base and about 2 circles worth of pebbles going up the wall of the bowl. So the next part, and this is all that I have left. If you have a little bit left over, it doesn't mean you did it wrong. If you have a lot left over, it might mean that your pebbles are a little bit too small. So remember, too big, just right. All right. Now, all of these pebbles, as they are right now, are going to fall completely apart in the kiln. And they might look something like this once they go in the kiln. They will not stick to one another if we don't do anything about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to smooth the inside of the bowl so it's a functional bowl, but also so that we're gluing all of those pebbles together. Like I said, or else this is going to happen. Pop, in the kiln. Okay, so to smooth out these pebbles, the first thing you have to do is give them just a little bit of pressure. Not really hard, because you'll end up losing the definition of each of your pebbles. So I like to start from the middle, just like we did in making the bowl. Placing the pebbles, start from the middle, go around in a circle, so that I'm giving them just a little gentle squeeze, so that they're sticking to each other and sticking into the mold the mold of the bowl a little bit. And then you're going to do that for the walls as well. So to do that, I just like to use my hands like this and pinch them against the wall. Okay. Now they're less circles and they have more of a flat surface. Okay. All right, now we're gonna start smoothing, and all you're using is your fingers, okay? And you're gonna, again, start from the center and move outward in a circular motion, and then up the walls, okay? Okay, so I've gone and smoothed out the base, so all of these pebbles have been smoothed on this part, or the inside of the bowl, and now I'm gonna move up the wall, all right? Now to do that's a little bit tricky, because what you want to do is you want to hold, I'm a left-handed, so I'm going to hold the bowl with my right hand so I can use my left hand to smooth. So I cup the bowl with my right hand, and I'm gonna start smoothing, but I'm also going to use my thumb to kind of put a little bit of pressure on the top layer of pebbles so that they stay put. If you don't do that, they might start to pull away from one another and away from the mold. So cup the side, place some pressure down on the top layer of pebbles, and start smoothing. So we're getting closer, but I want to point out, you want to do an extra good job connecting or smoothing the lines between the pebbles on the top layer here, because right now they'll pull apart, like I mentioned in the kiln, if we don't do a good job Okay, as you're smoothing this top layer of pebbles, something that you can do to get rid of some of the cracks and attach the pebbles to one another in a more thorough way would be to get a small cup of water, dip your finger in there. We're not using a ton of water, just a little bit. And run your finger along those seams between pebbles. Between the pebbles, but then on the sides, like right here. Oop, camera's over here, sorry. Right here, but then also on top, so that those seams between pebbles start to disappear. So I'm running my finger like this across the top, smoothing out the top a little bit. Gives it a more consistent edge. You can also use your thumb instead of your forefinger. That might work for you better. Get it a little bit wet. You know, and as you're letting it air dry in your house before it comes back to me at school, keep it somewhere where you can walk by it, and keep a little cup of water nearby too, you know, because if you are watching it and you see, you know, 24 hours later or, you know, 12 hours later, a crack open up, you can catch the crack before it becomes bigger and can't be fixed. But if the clay is still a little bit moist, dip back into your water and hit that crack. And if you have a little bit of clay left over that didn't make it into the bowl, like this is what I had left over, drop it into your cup with the water, and it'll become what's called slip. And slip is just clay and water, but it acts as a glue or an adhesive, so that if cracks open up, you can hit it with that, with your finger, and smooth it out a little bit before it becomes too much or too big of a problem to deal with. So I'm going to flip it like this, and I'm going to press a little bit lightly, gently into the clay. Not real hard, because again, we want to keep the shape of our pebbles on the outside of our bowl. All right, so now that we're at this stage, leave your leaf and do another round of smoothing. Said that you might need a toothpick, and this is where a toothpick might come in handy. If you don't have a stem on your leaf, that's totally fine too. You take the sharp end of your toothpick and gently grab a side of your leaf like this until you've got a little bit pulled out, and then you can use your hands to gently remove it from your clay. All right, take a look at that. That looks pretty good. Keep this in a safe spot and keep it in the bowl, because the paper bowl will protect it, okay? And it will help it keep its shape as it dries, and it will help you transport it to school safely.